Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Home and Away, a podcast devoted to all things in and around the world of sporting Kansas City soccer. I am Drew Van Plug, joined once again, as always, by my good friend Cody Welton. This week on the podcast, preseason has begun for Sporting Kansas City, and the current roster of 17 players, plus some trialists and academy invites, made their way down to Florida to begin their preparations for the 2026 season. Unfortunately, there have not been any additional signings announced as we record this podcast, so yours truly is starting to look into what condiments go best with hat. Hopefully that won't be necessary, and the podcast jinx works this week, and we start hearing about more activity soon. There have been more rumors reported of late, and we haven't dug much into them given the holiday break and getting into the Rafa Wiki hire, so we can do a little review of those and give our thoughts about at least the type of players it looks like Sporting Kansas City appear to be targeting, as well as the likelihood of any of these rumors actually transpiring in anything significant. The Kansas City Current have been very active over the last month, recently unveiling their new head coach, who was identified by, let's call it, an interesting process for doing a head coach search, which I'm sure we both have some thoughts on. But additionally, some player movement has occurred, mostly out, and has given them some flexibility to make moves going into 2026 to continue to iterate on the roster and address areas of need. And based on the most recent release of available players going into preseason, they have many areas of need. So we'll get into that. Finally, there have been a lot of MLS moves we really haven't yet to weigh in on that I think are of interest, and maybe we'll have some time that I can ask some questions of Cody about his ideas for the team as we go into 2026. So let's start with everyone's favorite offseason topic, player rumors. Who's going where? What's the hot stove situation? Unfortunately, when it comes to Sporting Kansas City, pretty dry. Not a whole lot of rumors. Now, part of that is by design. This club is very insulated in the information that lets out the door. And I don't get the feeling that this new regime is going to be any more forthcoming with that information. So we've had to scour the internet to try to find different things. I say we. Mike Kuhn has had to scour the internet to try to find any of this information. He has probably the most advanced Google alerts algorithm available for Sporting Kansas City news, or he's just terminally online. I don't know which.
Both. I think probably both.
Probably both. But he's been pretty good about sharing this type of information with us on the Discord as he sees it. He also shares it on his social media platforms. You don't have to be in the Discord to get this info, but if you'd like to see it right away and participate in the conversation with the listeners of the podcast, the Discord is there. Link is in the show notes. Feel free to join. It's free, and there's a lot of us sickos over there paring down every infinitesimal detail of these reports and trying to get excited about a league season that hasn't provided much excitement to us yet. So he was able to unearth some gems that we'll talk about those. One of them was shared to me by Daniel Sperry as well. So we've got all the ears are out there listening, trying to figure out what kind of things might be happening. So let's start with the first category of these rumors, which I like to call we're just window shopping. Right? These are the players that Sporting probably inquired about at some point. Mm-hmm. Probably had some interest in. Hey, how much, if you're playing Football Manager and you ask the agent, what would it take to get this guy, right? Those are the level of inquiries we're talking about. Now, that agent has definitely filed that information away in his brain, his or her brain, and is trying to find these next new opportunities for his player and transfer fees and whatnot. Is going to utilize that information in the press. And often you'll see Sporting Kansas City named alongside 3 or 4 other clubs that may be interested. In a lot of circumstances, this is just an agent trying to drive up the price or the interest or, help sort of motivate the situation a little bit further if necessary. But Sporting has been named in a couple of those. So these are probably, if we're talking about the, likelihood of completion, probably the least likely. But they do at least give us some sort of information about the players that Sporting Kansas City might be looking at. So the first one, did we talk about Julian Shehu?
We did.
We did? Okay.
Yeah.
So Julian Shehu is someone we mentioned. I couldn't remember, man. We've been kind of off and on, and that's my apologies for how much time we spent on Shehu. But Albanian number 6, playing in Poland, very much of the ilk of here's Sporting Kansas City and Valencia and somebody else. I don't know, some other club. There were several clubs that was mentioned in this goal report. 27-year-old number 6 breaks through the Albanian national team. Strike while the iron is hot. Try to get a good contract for your player. I think we all agree that's what's happening there. Is he coming to Sporting Kansas City? Seems unlikely. But that gives you kind of the profile, the type of player they're looking at. I do think a big ball dominant number 6 is something the team should be looking for. The next one that came about this week is a Brazilian center back named Diego Borges. This would be a U22 level type of signing. That said, this is a player who's, I don't think, ever been transacted for a transfer fee and just recently signed where he's at. So I don't know that all of a sudden it was reported €2.5 million fee would be acceptable for getting Borges
for a U22.
I don't think you're paying $2.5 million for a guy who just signed 6 months ago on a free. Yeah. Probably not what you're doing, but anyway. Sounds like someone that maybe Sporting inquired about at some point, maybe even before he made this most recent move. Mm-hmm. But center back, a U22 center back would make a lot of sense based on what they're doing. The next two are some that have a little bit more meat to them in the what's the best way? They provide the most amount of intrigue as far as the fan base interacting about them, but also probably a little ways away from happening. The first one is Cesar Inga. For people who haven't been paying attention about Inga, he is a Peruvian left back. All of the reporting on this was Sporting Kansas City made a significant offer, attempted to come to a deal, and they wouldn't let him go, and the player wasn't very happy about it. Wanted the move, was happy with the offer that Sporting gave him from a salary perspective, was ready to go, and they were like, nah, not happening, dude. So it seems like that's kind of where we still are at this point. Could it still happen? Sure. I mean, Universitario didn't pay anything for him. They paid according to Transfer Market, they paid like $53,000 for him. Their coach was out publicly saying, well, if they had, offered this in December, they offered this in December. Okay, this was not something they offered last week. Okay.
Right.
They knew this was an offer that had been made well before December. Peru runs a sort of split schedule a lot like Mexico does, so they're kind of in between their Apertura Clausura thing and kind of going into preseason when a lot of this stuff came out. But there's a whole lot of posturing happening as happens with this. But this was actually an interesting one to me, right? Like the profile of this guy was a little bit more significant than the other two.
Than the other two, yeah. What stood out to you about his profile?
Well, I mean, we're talking about 23-year-old left back with fairly significant, like he has interest, right? And transfer market values are not always that linear, right? But
right.
I mean, the transfer market's not going to put him at €1.5 million of value if he isn't a player of some significance, and that we're willing to offer a transfer fee and a decent contract to a 23-year-old left back, I think is of note, right? I think that is noteworthy. You're talking about then, several $100,000 in salary budget charge for this player, and I just thought that was a little bit more noteworthy than, hey, we asked about a guy, I guess is my point.
Yeah, that makes sense. I think the profile of that player as a left back, I think it does kind of stand out and sort of maybe is an indication of what we're going to see. And if I think if you're like me and I was there's part of me that's really sort of held out hope for maybe a completely different sort of game model or playing style or player profile, but that doesn't really, I don't know that really seems to be the case. It seems that I don't know. It just seems that we're drifting towards, sort of a similar playing model, probably something very, 4-3-3 or 4-2-3-1-ish, and a lot heavy possession based, and all of those things are fine. Like, I'm not complaining about that, but it's just interesting. This is not like a wing back, right? This is not.
He's a big carrier of the ball. He looks
Right.
His FB ref looks a lot like Logan and Denbay, but even better, honestly.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So yeah, I understand from that perspective, like what you're talking about, like his ghost
not
stats.
not like a wing back in a three for a 3-person back line necessarily. Is what I was kind of getting at.
Well, I think he was playing left center back in a 3-person back line in Peru. So
Wild.
Yeah, I don't want to. I mean, FB ref is always a little bit dubious on this kind of thing, and I got to be honest, I wasn't grinding Peruvian game film on Y Scout.
Well, shame on you, first of all.
I mean, how dare I? Right? I mean, geez, what am I even here for if that's not what I'm doing? I think that we're talking about a guy. Yeah, they've got him. Yeah, they've got him at center back some and at left back some. So it really sort of depends. The other thing I like, he's a Peruvian national teamer. Like, this is a legitimate player, right? That is going to probably play at the World Cup. So wait, did Peru qualify? Maybe not. Peru didn't qualify, did they?
I don't think so.
Oh, never mind.
But anyway. I don't know for sure.
I feel like almost all of South America qualifies for the World Cup, so it's like I just assume. I know Bolivia did not, but
yes, they had.
Oh, did they?
No, they did not.
Okay.
No.
Anyway, I think it was just interesting to me, right? Like, this was there was an offer, and this was one that Sporting didn't really ever get into the media war about. And I mean, look, all of the reports at that point become posturing and just managing information and.
So my takeaway on this player was in thinking that he was actually a left back, but there's always
some of both.
There's always the chance that he was being looked at as a center back option, which kind of, I think, changes things maybe a little bit. So I think that just adds an interesting wrinkle into it. Especially in terms of what could possibly be expected from this team's center backs in terms of things like progressive passes and that sort of thing. So that changes, I think, maybe the calculus in my mind a little bit. That's interesting. I'm glad we brought it up.
Yeah, it's an interesting setup, but I mean, by all accounts, he was playing when he played center back. He was playing on the left side of a back three. That At least according to FB ref FOTMob.
Yeah.
That data source is as valuable as you put, you know what I mean? Like, just be aware. Yep. Yeah, no, it's just like, maybe not always perfect, but I mean, give some sort of context to who you're looking at. And then the most recent rumor that turned the Discord alight today as we're recording this was Rogers Mato, a Ugandan winger, who is currently playing in Macedonia and is out of contract in the summer. And we went from, hey, this guy might be coming here, oh my God, to nope, definitely not coming to Kansas City in a matter of about 2 hours. But it was kind of a wild circumstance where, the club he plays for currently put a article on their own website with pictures of all the documentation of Sporting offering to transfer him, which is a wild choice. Like, it's a really wild choice to put that all out there. And I think it was all to sort of circumvent the fact that the player who is out of contract in 6 months had already signed a pre-contract with Hearts in the Scottish Premier League to join them in the summer.
For free.
Yeah.
So that's that's why the club was being so obnoxious about it, right? Is they wanted to get something for this player. This player wanted to go someplace different for free, and Sporting was kind of caught in the middle.
Well, and there was also some stuff. Apparently, Hearts did offer some amount to transfer him immediately, but it wasn't acceptable to his current club, or it was less than what Sporting offered. And so Hearts was like, well, we'll just wait until he's available on a pre-contract, and we'll just sign him. And it sounds like the player wanted to go to Scotland, right? Like
Sure.
that was, and listen, Hearts is the top of the table in the Scottish Premier League right now.
Yep.
You have the opportunity to go join a team like that. I understand why that's of interest to you.
You have the opportunity to play Champions League football, which is what every soccer player wants.
I mean, sort of, but yeah, I mean,
Sure.
they sort of play Champions League football.
Sure, more so than Sporting Kansas City
Correct.
would. That's for
100% more than Sporting Kansas City would. And I think that there was some question at one point about whether or not. I mean, this all happened, and it was a fun conversation for a couple hours this morning.
Yeah.
There was some question about, hey, had they accepted the offer from Sporting, and had the player accepted the contract, and had they actually started to try to request his ITC to join MLS, and if so, we'd be in a different situation. It sounds like none of that really happened. It sounds like what happened is this Macedonian club that he plays for, Vardar, they I'm probably pronouncing that wrong, but I am not trying to learn Macedonian. They played a game trying to maximize the transfer fee. Rangers started making claims.
And they lost.
Yeah. Well, Rangers was making claims in the Edinburgh News about that they're in like dire financial straits and they're playing games, blah 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 blah. And yeah, they did. And I have it on fairly decent authority that Sporting Kansas City was not excited about how Vardar went about their business in this one. And they released a statement fairly quickly saying, we were interested in the player at one point. We wish him all the best at Hearts.
Yep. I mean, I appreciate the fact that that the club released that clarifying statement. I appreciate the fact that Sperry, obviously asked them for that clarifying statement. And so that kind of quelled anything that was,
Listen, we just want to have belief that something's happening, man. I mean,
honestly, the whole thing is kind of exciting, and it's not something that we've really been able to participate in very much. Just being fans of Sporting Kansas City specifically, but also just being fans in MLS. The participation by MLS teams in the sort of global marketplace is it's a fascinating thing, and this is the kind of shit that happens, right? This is not it's a weird thing, but it's also like weird shit happens all the time in transfer market sagas, and that's part of the fun, and that's part of the enjoyment of following it. And you're exactly right. It's nice to have some news that like something's happening.
The intrigue is almost better than the actual signings when they happen.
Yeah.
I mean, we're going to get excited about the players in late February when they're on the field, and we'll get excited about them before then. Well, we'll hopefully
it depends on who they are. Okay, I'm gonna get excited for a bunch of rando.
We're going to get to the
USL players
here.
or something.
Yeah, we'll get to the trialists here in a second. But I think that, hopefully there's, at least 25-ish players on the roster that were, kind of excited, and a lot of new ones that were excited to see how they pan out. But in the meantime, this intrigue and this interactivity is actually kind of fun, and it's fun to consume, and it's fun to sort of mentally participate in. And we haven't seen much of it. And so I think this is at least evidence. This is at least evidence of the work that the club is doing to try to make changes. Rogers Mato had just got done sort of balling out for the Uganda national team at AFCON. Like, this was a player that I think probably would have been a really nice addition to the club. Yeah. So I think that, you're seeing them scouting and trying to find the right types of players. I think the lack of reports and the fact that we're seeing these not pan out and not work might be indicative of the fact that there are 3 people in the front office at the moment.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
It's just, there's only so much these 3 people can accomplish.
Mm-hmm.
And I understand, and I shouldn't oversell this. They have contracted analytics data. They have, I'm sure they have contracted scouting information. There are more pieces of information they're operating off of than just what David Lee, Mike Burns, and Jacob Peterson can accomplish. I know that that's true.
Yeah, but when it comes down to it, like they're the ones that have to like, you know,
100%.
talk to agents and like that. You don't contract that shit out, right? That's stuff.
Well, I do think they worked with
to...
an intermediary on this Rogers Mato deal. If you look at the documentation, the offer was brought by an agency to the club. It wasn't Sporting Kansas City, so they did work with an intermediary there as well. I think that all of this is gonna evolve over time. But David Lee has had one goal over the last 3 months, which is to hire a coach and a coaching staff.
Right.
The staff is still yet to be announced, right? I think they're working on it, but still yet to be completed and announced. And there's and he can't staff up his internal department at the same time he's like focused on a coach and players.
Right.
So I think it's just the natural order of how things are going. I think this is going to continue to get better as they're able to build out the organization over time. But right now, this is what we got. And unfortunately, that means limited information, probably a limited list of players that they are able to address at a given point in time, or a limited depth chart for sure of players that they can try to go acquire. And which means it's going to take a little longer to get the right ones. And that sucks. And I understand why people are frustrated by it, but I think it is the nature of kind of where the club is at the moment.
So I know I completely understand, and I hear and understand what you're saying, but also like I think it's a little I don't know, it's a little concerning that this was sort of the knock on Lee as a CEO at or a CSO at NYCFC. Their fans complained constantly that they were really late getting signings through the door, and the season would be started and they'd still be bringing in players, and so.
But I mean, that's true of any MLS team, man. Sporting did that all the time too. Like I don't know that that's abnormal, I guess is my point.
Okay, I mean, I guess it remains to be seen. I just think that like
how many overseas transfers have come through already to MLS?
And not that many. I mean, the window has not been open very, very long.
It's not actually open right now. That's
right.
I guess that's the point.
There is that too, right? Yeah. No, you're exactly right. But I think
so. This is something I do think is going to be fixed significantly by the schedule change, which still hasn't been approved, by the way. But I think something that will be fixed.
It's not been approved by the Players Association. Yeah.
But this is something that I do think will be fixed by the schedule switch. The transfer window will actually occur, for the most part, inside that offseason.
Right.
I mean, that is a huge part of why it seems like teams are slow to act in MLS when it comes to participating in that, because the window doesn't even open until after preseason starts.
The MLS window.
Yeah.
The window to bring players in.
The primary transfer window for MLS does not open until after preseason starts. That is sort of incongruous with what you would expect of an offseason.
Yeah.
And I think that does sort of set improper expectations of what kind of actions would happen in the offseason.
Sure.
And
fans are looking at European leagues because that's who most fans that we follow are following, and they're like, oh, all the European leagues are signing players and selling players, and there's nothing happening.
Manu Garcia came in February of last year. Felipe Gutierrez came in February. Gadi Kinda came in late January, early February. This is not uncommon. This is just not uncommon. I think it's just more related to the fact that the calendar isn't aligned to the transfer window, that this becomes really confusing, and it creates this, especially in a situation like Sporting's in, where they have so much work to do.
That's the problem. Yeah.
Right. And I do think it's realistic at some level, the concern and the anxiety to exist over domestic players, because domestic players have been available for quite some time.
Yeah.
At least free agents and such.
And the team has to sign a significant number of domestic players. There's no getting around it.
There's a limited number of international spots. Their top draft pick requires one of them. There's just a lot. There's a lot of domestic talent, or at least green card holding talent, which means they've been in the U.S. for a while, that they need to acquire, and they've made very little of that. Stephen Cleveland, right? I think is the only one. I mean, I guess Justin Reynolds as well, right? Like backups, there hasn't been of any significance players like that acquired. Hopefully that will change soon. But again, this is, I think I understand, like it's realistic to be a little bit concerned at this point that those types of moves have not been prioritized in a time when you can accomplish them. And again, I do think a lot of that has to do with the fact that they have a short staff for managing this. And I think, Lee, maybe he does have a history of being slower to market with making acquisitions. I'm less concerned about that than if he was really bad at it while also being slow, right?
I totally agree.
And so, yeah, that may be true, but I mean, historically, his hit rate has been high enough that I'm not as concerned about that. Not to say that he's been perfect. No GM is ever perfect at making signings. It is there, but if you're hitting at 70% or more, you're doing pretty good. And I think he's been in that range. And he was also extremely successful at creating profit via player movement that he could reinvest into more players. And that is something the previous CSO never fucking did.
Yeah. Well, the thing is too, Drew, is that this isn't like the NFL, right? Like you don't have to be completely ready to go after your first preseason or after preseason ends. It's a long season, and a lot of teams make the playoffs.
Playbook, right? Like it's totally different.
And we've seen time and time again that that it's really not how you start; it's how you finish. And if you can have a strong club.
By the way, I said this last week, and you stopped me. It's like, oh, we're giving them more excuses, and now it doesn't matter until July, and blah 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 blah. So
but I mean, but you were right. You were right. I mean, that is the reality of the situation. It is different for this.
I'm sorry. I was what? I was.
You
right.
were. Hey, man. You were right. However, it is different for this club than it is for most clubs because this is a de facto expansion club, right? Like they have no players, and I think that adds that ups the ante substantially. They have no players. They're going to have to go into the season with a lot of players who are likely journeyman or inexperienced or substandard to some degree, and so if you're already behind the eight ball like that, you want as many players in your preseason as possible because you have a lot of work to do and a lot of catch up to be done.
I mean, I think it's a legitimate concern. It's like, is this indicative of a larger problem regarding their ability to get signings over the line and complete them? I don't know that it necessarily is. I think it's indicative of the existing problems that David Lee has not had near enough time to rectify.
Totally agree.
I just think that he is dealing with existing structural issues that existed when he took the job and just does not have the ability to make significant impacts on.
So we should blame Jacob Peterson, is what you're saying.
That's exactly.
He's not the answer.
But we should blame the former CSO and what he did with the structure of this club.
Absolutely. And ownership for letting him fucking do that because it's criminal, honestly. Like, come on.
Yeah, I mean the structure of the front office is in a pretty shit state right now.
Yeah,
and technical staff and whatnot, it's in a pretty shit state, and that is mostly to do with the guy that was in charge of that before.
Right.
And so we're gonna have to deal with rectifying that, and it's just gonna take some time.
Yeah.
And I know nobody wants to hear that. Like, I get it. Like, we've been eating that shit sandwich for 3 years now. And so it's tough to continue to do it. I think most of the people that listen to this podcast are probably aware of the fact that this is not going to be a great year, but they want to see progress. And
Sure.
I think that's what there's been a dearth of progress so far. And
I
I think
think
that's been the biggest issue.
one of the issues for me too is that like I feel like that there are good players on the team. I feel like Manu and Jovic are good players, and I want to see them be good players and be successful. But it really looks like it's going to be a while, right?
Their entire careers here might just be in rebuilding period,
right? And that sucks. It sucks for them, and it sucks for us as fans, right? It is what it is, I guess.
I mean, but it happens. It happens to all clubs.
Sure, it does.
The natural order of a soccer team is that players move in and out, and there's never really that big of a consistent core that exists for that long.
And that is something that Kansas City fans have not been exposed to in a meaningful way.
Correct. Yeah. And so it is something that they're going to get familiar with. I mean, you'll have one or two that stick around for a while, but that core of group of players that was really there for a long time and really sort of helped develop that success that the club experienced for a significant period of time, that is extremely rare.
Yeah.
And it's going to be more rotational kind of things. But to be fair, also, if you look at those rosters through those years, there was a lot of player movement around it. Right. Yeah, the core was fairly significant.
On the fringes, absolutely.
There was a ton of player movement around it and people coming in and out. And I think that we got to get used. We got to start getting back to that. And the CSO back then made a lot of those moves. And for whatever reason, it stopped happening. So we got to get back to doing those kinds of things. So preseason begins. The 17 players that are signed made their way to phase 1 of preseason. I said it's in Florida, right? Aren't they in Palm Beach? I don't know. I know they're playing the Coachella Valley Invitational later, which is in California, but aren't they in Florida for phase 1? Did I completely just
God damn it! I have
brain
no
hole
idea.
that?
Yeah. I thought that they were. I thought they were in Arizona, but that still could be.
No, they're in West Palm Beach.
From
they're
okay.
in West Palm Beach.
All
Yeah,
right.
okay. Thank God, I did not lose my mind.
I see the preseason schedule comes out, and honestly, like I don't even really pay that much attention to it because it doesn't really matter.
Especially when there's only 17 players going, and only 7 of them are on the senior roster, and 2 of those 7 are goalkeepers. Like,
right. And I've been there.
Jacob Bartlett won the beep test. Yay!
right. So many of us have been there where we're like, scouring the internet for a fucking stream that shows like trialist number 2 out there, and you're like, who the fuck is that? Who's trialist number 2? No, it's not. We don't need to do that, man. It's really not that deep.
It's not
that. There's so much other football to watch. Like go watch anything. You can even go watch Spurs. Like if you really.
I don't know about that. I don't know.
Like,
Conor
Gallagher there's just so much.
Conor Gallagher is going to make me at least semi-interested in watching Spurs, but it's probably only going to be for a game or two. At least we know who the trialists are in this circumstance. So there are 3 trialists. We have Ethan Bartlow, Jaden
trialist
Reed,
number 1, trialist number 2,
trialist number 3. Ethan Bartlow, Jaden Reed, Wyatt Meyer. All of these are players that come off of MLS rosters.
Yeah.
Which is nice. Like, a lot of trialists in the past have not been that. Although Memo Rodriguez was a trialist, wasn't he? He was a trialist that ended up sticking with the team for a couple of years. There was that international right back that we never signed last year that was just the most absurd situation ever.
Oh, yes.
Remember that? Remember that?
Yeah, I do.
They brought him in.
They brought him in. They were ready to sign him, and they didn't have...
They're like, oh, international spot. Weird. I don't want to do that. Fuck is going on?
Yeah. Wow.
So yeah. Anyway, again, new CSO, new year, new CSO. We're gonna move on. But Ethan Bartlow has played center back / left back, mostly a center back. Has at least decent minutes. Not that Houston was a really good defensive team, but I mean, we're talking about a player that can at least absorb some minutes in MLS at center back and has done so in the past. Jaden Reed would be fun just because it's a former St. Louis player.
Yeah.
I mean, I would just love to see that just because it's a former St. Louis player. Wyatt Meyer has played very little for Nashville. Also sort of a center back / left back option.
Jaden Reed is a left back.
Jaden Reed's left back. Yeah, all of
Yep.
these are left side defenders, right? Left center back or left back, which should show you where they're trying to target additions on the team. All those guys should be recognized that there's no way all three of them are making the squad, which is a good thing, right? Like they should recognize right away that they're all battling with each other to try and get a spot on the team. And I think that will hopefully create the level of competition that one of them sort of stands out. But yeah, we got those. We got some academy kids.
we have 3 trialists for one position, and we need to sign 10 players.
Yeah.
So that's cool.
Chelo Tashantrit got his. We never even talked about Chelo Tashantrit getting his homegrown deal, which is, I think Chelo was. I think that was sort of an escalating thing based on his performance with the twos, that it would turn into a homegrown deal, and so that happened. So good for him, son of former Sporting Kansas City player. I mean, I think that there are. I mean, I don't know, man. I don't know. There's not much to talk about here.
No, he's a kid.
Well, I mean, and Cello has been a decent player for the twos, but it's not been like, oh my god, we have to have this guy on the roster immediately.
Right. But I mean, you could have said the same thing about, Jake Davis, right? When Jake Davis was with the twos, or I mean, there's, it's just a guy. And he's going to get a shot, and on a club that's this thin and needs this many players.
Cello's dad never played for Sporting. He was an NPSL player. He's a coach for the Sporting Academy, I should say. Gotcha. Anyway, sorry.
I mean, if you can't make Sporting Kansas City at this point in time, then you're probably just not good enough.
Yeah,
that's it.
I think that we're also probably going to see just the things that I'm hearing around the club is we're going to probably see like a little bit of a different philosophy towards bringing on homegrowns and youth players. I think it's going to be a little bit more of an aggressive philosophy. We heard Rafa Wicki specifically, discuss youth development and bringing youth players along. I think you and I have long bemoaned the fact that there is a vertical structure to this club that only seems to operate at the top, and there's not much happening underneath it that is feeding the top. Mm-hmm. And if I'm an owner investing millions of dollars into an academy and a second team, and none of that is ever providing you fruitful results on the first team or player sales or any of that, I'm probably not really excited about that situation.
Yeah.
So I'm probably going to be looking to a new CSO and coaching staff to be a little bit more open-minded about that philosophy. And I think that we're going to see that with Lee and with Wicki. Wicki, like I said, he checked it specifically in his press conference. David Lee has historically brought up homegrowns quite significantly through his teams within NYCFC. So I think we're going to see a little bit more of an aggressive philosophy towards that as far as getting youth players first team contracts or professional contracts earlier in their careers and getting them in professional environments as early as possible. We discussed at one point the whole, I think this was another Bobby Warshaw conversation about kind of like what the developmental sort of age breakdowns are of players and when players really stop developing significantly from a technical perspective. And it's like 18 is kind of where it starts to slow down or stop. And that's that is not the way that this club historically has gone about bringing youth players along. And so I'm hopeful, and I believe that we will see some more aggressive thought processes in that matter. So there are a ton of academy products as well as homegrowns that are going to be in this pro environment for camp. And I think we'll start seeing them getting pro contracts as well earlier in their career, which I think will help that development and start to feed the first team a little bit more effectively.
I'm all for it. I think that as much as we can get that pipeline really functioning, and I think that I think that one of the things is that we don't have to be just like bringing in stars, right? Like, and we need to adjust our expectations. I think that that the academy system should serve as a way to really provide depth on an MLS roster.
Also, excitement of
Sure.
fun young players coming into the team
who are from your community. Sure,
right.
Absolutely.
Some from, some maybe not. I mean, we know Sporting's going to be about their recruiting.
Yeah.
I mean, but we love Ian James, and Ian James from Minnesota. Whatever. Yeah. I don't care. Yep. Find the players, get them in the thing. They, at the end of last season, we saw Kashawn Hines, who you guys know I'm a pretty high on, a 16-year-old that is from, is he from the East Coast? Pennsylvania, I think he's from like central Pennsylvania, and they got him into the academy early. We also saw another 14-year-old Samir Loyorenaga get to play for the Twos the last couple games of last season. Like, that's the kind of shit we want to see, right? We want to see, and I've candidly heard that academy coaches are very high on Renaga. Like, not seen this since Busio high. So like,
if you're 14 playing with the Twos, that's a pretty good. That's a pretty good sign.
He's 6'1", 170, by the way, at 14, and as an attacking midfielder, he looks like Gio Reyna. Like, that's what he looks like. He's huge, and 14 years old, and still going. Yeah, like you said. So there are players who are of interest that we should be highlighting and discussing, and we just haven't had the opportunity to. So I am excited about that, and I know you are too.
Yeah.
Are there players incoming? Yes. This team, I am not going to be eating this hat.
There better be.
I'm not going to be eating this hat. It was a joke. I know everybody in the Discord enjoyed it. I'm not going to be eating this hat. They will be signing players, okay? What will it happen in a time frame that everyone wants? Probably not. Probably not. But they are not going into the season with 17 players on the roster.
Yeah.
And it's not because they're going to add a bunch of homegrowns. It's because they are going to sign actual players. I promise. It's going to happen.
You didn't say sign good players. You just said sign players.
Well, I mean, you don't know if players are good until you see them play.
That's true. I'm just playing around. I mean, they are absolutely going to sign players. They're absolutely going to have a team, and we're just gonna have to see. It's prepare to be whelmed, right? Prepare to be don't get your hopes up. This team is going to be a work in progress, probably throughout this season, and maybe even throughout next season. And there's just a lot of work that needs to be done. And the sooner, I think we all feel the sooner we get players in the door, and the sooner we get working on that, the better. And I know that Lee and Wiki, they have to feel the same way. And so let's just get the ball rolling and get going.
100%. The sooner the better, obviously.
Yep.
Okay, that's enough talking about a team that has signed no one. We did 42 minutes on it somehow. The Kansas City Current,
we are who we are.
We are who we are. We cannot stop talking about this team, even when they do almost nothing. The Kansas City Current have not been doing almost nothing. They announced their head coach and do a wonderful press conference, during which Chris Long tells us about how he called his college buddy Jesse Marsh and asked for ideas on who a coach they should hire. Jesse said, "You should hire this Chris Armas guy," and they were like, "Bet, we'll do it."
Ugh.
That's the coaching search that happened in Kansas City.
Yeah.
Did they use a search firm? Nope. Did Chris and Angie Long just do it all on their own? Yep. Was Vlatko a part of identifying Chris Armas? Nope.
Yeah. I have to be honest, I'm not the hugest Current fan. I love the Current, and I will go to games and I watch them. I don't follow them nearly as much or as closely as I follow Sporting Kansas City. If I did, I would be livid. You know what I'm saying? Like this is, and I'm a little surprised that there hasn't been more of an outcry from current fans about this hiring. I know that there is some, and I know that we've all seen posts on Blue Sky and whatnot from sporting adjacent folks who are also current fans. But it's really mind blowing, and the most mind blowing part of the whole thing is that Armas is not actually like a good coach, right? And so like to do this for a coach that's not is very unlikely to move the needle in a positive way is it's a ridiculous own goal, right? Pun intended, soccer reference intended. It's just it's hilarious just to think about it. It's just ridiculous.
An astonishing level of hubris, right?
It's yeah.
It's an astonishing level of hubris.
It's like something St. Louis would do. That's how bad it is.
Yeah.
It's
that you are so full of yourself and your own decision-making ability because you have enough money to pay for a soccer club that you can do this on your own.
Yeah.
Being rich doesn't make you good.
That is not what people who are rich think.
I know. When they hired Vlatko, and Vlatko came in and basically like retooled the entire technical side of the house, and you immediately saw them get infinitely better. You're like, okay, they got it. They understood that they had to go get a guy who knew what the fuck he was doing. And they had the best regular season in league history, and unfortunately lost in the first round of the playoffs. And shit happens. Knockout tournaments are like that, man.
Yes, they are.
Lost to the team that won the fucking cup. Gotham got hot at the right time. Shit happens in knockout tournaments, man. It happens. Unless you're Indiana University, who just apparently seems to just destroy everyone they play in college football. It's an absurd statement. It's an absurd statement to make. I really don't even know how we got there, but we are. Anyway, this is what happens in professional leagues with a salary cap. Sometimes, but they were the current were by far the best team in the league by record-breaking margins and results. And your way to respond to that is get rid of this fucking guy and neuter him of any decision-making ability?
I think Biggie would call that getting high on your own supply.
Yeah.
You don't do that. It's a bad idea.
I'm like, I don't know, man. I don't know. Anyway, I'm glad they think they did something good. And you know what? The current are good enough. Well, I mean, we'll see. Based on their injury list, looks rough right now, but they're good enough that Armas may be okay. But I'm concerned that that's going to be the self-fulfilling prophecy that happens here. Is like they're going to think they made a good decision because even Chris Armas can win with this team, not because I think they're going to win in spite of him, not because of him. I guess is my point.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, and the outgoing players in combination with the injury list is really concerning, and if they're not able to, make some adjustments and hire some or purchase some new players, I think that it could go bad really quickly, because I have to imagine that it's that seems like a very difficult situation for Chris Armas to walk into, right? Like this is, these are super high level professionals.
Chris Armas doesn't feel like the kind of guy who has the self-awareness to.
No, but that actually kind of underlines my point. Like it's going to be a lot tougher than I think he thinks. And
remember all the bullshit he went through with Toronto when they were like they were training in Florida. Like I just there are too many circumstances upon the whole thing where he got into it with the fucking reporter, the Burgundy Wave reporter. Like this is not a guy who notoriously has been self-reflective or willing to sort of filter himself when necessary.
Yeah.
We don't have a history of that with him. I
don't think it's going to play very well with that locker room, and I know that I'm expecting it to go poorly, honestly. So
I
it's just
hope
crazy.
I don't want it to go poorly. I don't want to be right about this and say I told you so if this flames out.
Yeah.
But I mean, it just seems so unbelievably unnecessary.
Yeah.
Like, why did they have to do this? Like, it's an intentional act to take control and show control.
Yeah. That's that's all the rage in the got money community right now. Take control and show you got it.
Cool. And like I said, the hubris is what surprised me. I did not expect them to be publicly making these statements about how they did this all themselves, and it was based off a phone call that Chris Long had with his old college buddy Jesse Marsh. Yeah. Like, I did not expect that was what was going to happen here. I expected that it would all be sort of PR speaked down to, we went through an exhaustive evaluation process and it became clear that Chris was our guy and blah, 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 blah. And Vlatko can't wait to get in with him and help take this team to new heights. Like, that is what I expected. No. That is not what we got here.
Yeah.
It's just absurd, man. And you're right. Like, the biggest problem is Armas is a below average coach by the record, by the numbers.
Yeah.
Why is one of the most preeminent coaching jobs in women's professional sports, not just soccer, women's professional sports, why is that job why is a 3-time below average MLS head coach the prime candidate for that job? Like, why? Yeah. Why is that the case? And then secondarily, like, you are helping elevate a league and supposedly making all these claims about building facilities for a women's professional club and being the first to build these stadiums and all these other things to elevate the women's professional game. Mm-hmm. And the very first thing you go do after having a bunch of success is go hire your college buddy's friend, the cis white guy,
the dude. Yeah.
That has been below average head coach his entire career.
Sucks. That's why I said you're making all those points. Like if I was a huge Current fan, I would be just livid. I'm livid now, and it's just.
I feel like this is the second time I've gone through this, but it's so like I was hoping for some level of competent thinking that was going into this, and it's not that. This is 100%. We hired the guy we like.
Yeah, it's gross.
We hired the guy that's a friend of a friend.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they probably don't even know anything about, like I said last time. They probably looked at his resume. They're like, oh, Manchester United. Well, I mean, okay.
I mean, well, obviously Chris Armas interviews well. Like, that's how he got the job at Manchester United.
Yeah,
that's how he's gotten these other head coaching jobs, even when he's not been good at any of them. So he's a good interviewer. That doesn't make him a good performer. Yeah. And you have to be able to rationally evaluate those situations and not just go off of feeling. Like this, for a couple people who run an extremely successful results-based business that gave them all the money to do this shit, you would think their other extremely successful results-based business would require leadership that is good at that.
Yeah.
Getting results, which Chris Armas has never proven that he's good at doing.
No.
Okay, I'm off my higher. It just
there's more to come. This is not going away. I guarantee it. Because I'm like,
if you're Vlatko,
he is not a good coach.
If you're Vlatko, like, how do you do? Like, you have to be farming your resume everywhere.
You look at your bank account and you're like, I'm good.
As long as they keep paying those checks, they've been completely willing to just jettison people whenever they feel like it.
Yeah. I mean, Vlatko's a good enough coach. He's going to be fine.
He will be, but I promise you, he's called his agent and gone, hey, why don't you let them know?
Yeah.
I'm interested in what things may exist.
You know who the real villain is in this whole story is Jesse Marsh. because that dude he's really showing his true colors, and he has turned himself into just quite the villainous character all around. So I think we can all agree to just let the hate flow towards Canada.
Has Jesse Marsch just always sort of been this guy?
I guess so, but
we gave him the benefit of the doubt when because he was the American coach that went to Salzburg and then went to Leeds, and we were like, oh, this guy's actually building himself a European resume or whatever. When in reality, he was just that guy. I mean, Vince from Scuffed has always had some very specific thoughts about Jesse Marsch, and I have to say to Vince, I'm with you, man. I was not as skeptical of him as you were early on, but now I understand where this comes from. I really do.
Sure seems to be that way, doesn't it?
It definitely does. Okay, let's move on from Chris Armas because I don't need to talk about it anymore. There have been a number of other player transactions that have happened with the Current. Bia has left the club, has gone back to Palmeiras. I think this is fairly predictable.
Yeah.
I mean, as good as Bia was when she was healthy, she was not healthy enough.
No, she was not.
And I think they've also struggled trying to figure out a place for Ali Sentner with Bia and Temwa and Cooper and Dabinia on the field. Like, it just that you can't do all of those things.
No.
And so and Sentner has always been much better as a withdrawn center forward than she has been as a central midfielder or a winger. So I think it's just a better fit for her. She's been way better with the U.S. women's national team playing in that role. Now, granted, the U.S. women specifically play kind of a false nine, sort of withdrawn center forward. The Current haven't done that, but again, new coach, maybe Chris Armas is going to come up with the amazing tactical plan to make this work.
4-2-2, baby, let's go.
Yeah. Can't wait. And then Nichelle Prince was just this week, I think, traded to Boston Legacy for some interleague transfer funds. Also, not a super surprising move. Just Prince never really sort of caught on in Kansas City. I mean, she was getting some play towards the end of the year. I mean, I'll always remember the absolute stone dead goal that she could have scored against Gotham to get them to move on in that game, and just absolutely biffed it or hit it, like softly straight at the goalkeeper. So, okay, sorry about that. See you later, I guess.
Yeah.
And then the Alex Pfeiffer one annoys me because I feel like this is a little ownership related as well. Another, when I say that, I mean Alex Pfeiffer was taking minutes away from someone else named Long on the roster.
Yeah, that makes sense.
And then, like right after they mutually agree to terminate her contract, Alex Pfeiffer's mom had some thoughts on Instagram, by the way. Like I want to say, less than a week later, Mary Long tears her ACL. So neither of them will be playing for the Kansas City Current next year. Pfeiffer did get a contract with Bay FC. I think she's a real player. Like, I really do think she's a real player, and I'm interested to see what she does there. What is this team going to look like, man? Like, I don't know.
I don't know either. I don't know what they're going to look like. I don't know what style they're going to play. I mean, you would assume there's going to be at least, a heavier dose of high press going on, but who knows? I mean, it at this point, what is their attack even going to look like? They don't have fit players.
What midfielders are going to press?
Yeah, there you go. I mean, you can't press with Labonta and probably not Hutton, at least not the way that you would like to.
No,
yeah.
I mean, Claire Hutton doesn't have the agility and sort of speed, like quickness, to press regularly. Lowe has it, but not for 90 minutes anymore.
Right.
I mean, and if you look at like their current roster, you look what I did there. It's not great. Like,
yeah.
I don't know. Like, they're midfielders. So you would expect Vanessa DiBernardo to come back from maternity leave at some point, right? But she's not a high pressing midfielder.
Yeah.
Labonta and Hutton, definitely not that. Rocky Rodriguez, I mean, yeah, but maybe a little bit, but she's also not going to play that much, or you would expect she's not going to play that much. Who's playing and who's pressing out of this midfield?
Yeah, it's kind of a problem, right? It's kind of when you look at the roster and you look at the history of Chris Armas and the kinds of teams that he has managed in the past. It's kind of it doesn't seem like a straightforward matchup for sure.
The Current, I want to be clear, the Current were very effective at winning balls back via counter pressure last year. But that's not pressing. That's different. That's not high pressing.
That's not high pressing, right? So that's the reason why I made the 4-2-2 joke is because that's a classic sort of high press formation.
I think we're more likely to see Sporting Kansas City achieve that than we are the Current, to be completely honest.
You're probably right.
And I'm confused. I'm confused by all of it.
Yep.
And none of it seems to be connected. Like, none of the decisions seem to be connected to each other. Yeah. And so here we are. And I've spent too much time discussing my distaste with how those decisions are being made. But it's concerning. I hope they're able to figure it out. I do believe that they have talent that is going to make them good, but that talent and that roster was built to play a certain way, and it is not the Chris Armas way. So Chris Armas better figure out how to coach a different way. At which point, why didn't you just keep Flacco?
Or let him choose who you hire.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Cool. Everything's great in Kansas City soccer world. Let's move on to MLS news. There have been many, many fascinating stories rolling in and around MLS. The first one that just popped on my radar through this week, Chico Lozano.
Bye.
Bye, Felicia. Apparently today, according to Fabrizio Romano, says he's not leaving.
Love it.
He's doing the Jordan Belfort, man. He's like, I'm not fucking leaving. Okay,
all right. You ain't playing, buddy.
Do that from the suite, I guess. I don't know. I mean, cool. This is an interesting situation. I mean, it was fairly fascinating at the end of last season when he got benched and sort of like removed from the team for a while, and then benched, and then like only brought in sparingly at the end of games.
Yep.
And then, like, Tom reports that he's just not in the plans.
Yeah, I love that. Not in the plans.
I mean, Mr. Lindsey Horan is making moves, dude. He is making moves. I give him credit. Like, I mean, not a lot of guys would try to do this shit.
No, because first of all, he is a he's a designated player. He's a quality player.
$7 million a year,
right?
Man.
You're not going to sell him. You're not going to sell him within the league. That's for sure. And you've already shown. Once you say a player's not in your plans, you've basically put him on for sale for cheap, right? Like you're advertising that you have to get rid of this player to be to satisfy roster compliance and the need for more designated players, of that stuff.
Something tells me that they are they had already tried. They had already tried to find a home for him, and it wasn't happening for them to, because they waited basically until preseason was about to start to make this statement. Yeah. So they've been trying. To find a home for him and not finding it under the radar. And now they just have to be like, hey, look, this guy is available. Please come take this motherfucker. Like, that's basically what they've done at this point.
Chivas, are you there?
We heard you liked Alan Polito. Have I got a guy for you? This guy actually scores goals.
Yep.
Hey. Anyway,
I love it. It's so, like, your point is accurate. Like, it takes a lot of balls to to just ice out designate a player
And a lot of support from
one of
your
the
owners.
faces.
Your owner
Right.
has to be on
Yep.
board to be able to pull this off. Like, I'm not sure Mike Gillig goes along with this if it's a Sporting Kansas City situation.
No.
So
No,
it takes,
he sees all those dollar signs walking out the door, and he's like, no.
he's like, wait a minute, Vermees,
Pissing off half your fan base. No.
You went and whined on a radio about how you don't have money. I give you this guy, and then you're like, fuck this guy, send him on. I don't think that would have gone over well. But, I mean, I do think that it shows that between San Diego was still very good even without Lozano.
Yeah.
They have they've made really good moves. I love their philosophy towards acquiring every sort of high upside youth national team player. It's kind of a cool mindset. When Luca Bambino hadn't re-signed yet they hadn't completed the transfer for him yet, I was like, man, if I'm Sporting Kansas City, I'm on the phone with LAFC going, hey, can I buy Luca Bambino? I'll pay you more than San Diego will. As a U22. Like they've done a really good job with that stuff. And I think the success that Heaps has already shown and Mikey Veras has already shown has built that trust with the ownership group where it's like, this guy's not right. We need to move on. And it's not like San Diego ownership is poor, right? I mean, they have plenty. Their main owner is an Egyptian oil magnate that has plenty of cash. So there's not an issue there, but,
maybe they're getting rid of Chucky to make room for Mo Salah. You never know.
I mean, it sounds like if that's going to happen, it's post World Cup. Like it's not going to happen until then, but it could happen at that point, right? And they're certainly playing their cards to do that. But I suppose that is a team that would stick with the 2-4 model for sure, based on how they play, how they build their roster. So yeah, they would have to jettison a DP in order to make that work. I don't know.
Yep.
Maybe it is. Maybe it is long term. I mean, they could have let Chucky go in the summer if they were going to do that. Like they want him out of the locker room.
Yeah.
Like they're not doing this unless he's a significant issue.
Yeah, that's the problem. I think that's the biggest problem is the locker room issue, and you especially when you have a model like the one that they're operating under, no one's bigger than the team, and if you're gonna act a fool, then you can do that, like you said, in the suite or at a different club.
That is something Peter Vermees would 100% not put up with.
Yeah,
like you'd be fucking gone, no matter who you are.
You'd be Omar Bravo'd.
Mm-hmm. Or Jose Mauried.
Jose Mauried. Yeah.
I'll never forget that game, man. I'll never forget it.
It was wild.
Subbed on, subbed off, never seen again.
Yep. just absolute ether. Bye. Gone.
Has he even played soccer for anyone? I mean, I looked him up at one point. He has, but yeah, it's not been great for him since then. Other MLS news: Christian Espinoza did finally find a home. Obviously not in San Jose after Chris Leach forgot how to exercise a contract option and then got himself fired as a result.
As he should have.
As he should have. Like,
bye.
Yeah, I mean, this is next level fucking your shit up. Like, this is unbelievably poor. So Christian Espinoza goes to Nashville, and man, does that team look fun now. Holy
they do.
Shit. Espinoza, Mukhtar, and Surridge up top. Yes, please.
Yeah. They used to be like root canal fun. Like they were a good team, but like
and then they hired BJ Callahan.
Yeah.
They got rid of stupid ass reductive English coaches and like at some point Charlotte will figure this out and get rid of fucking Dean Smith. But in the meantime, like they've like we had this issue in Minnesota. Minnesota was, look, I understand they play haram ball now, but at least it's interesting. Like when you watch it, like it's a team that's executing a plan and doing it extremely well. It'll be interesting to see. Eric Ramsey is now the Middlesbrough coach. So they brought elevated one of his assistants to take over. So that'll be an interesting one there to see if they continue to play that way. I expect they will. I think that's more game model related and kind of how they go about building their roster. But yeah, Gary Smith played really fucking annoying soccer. That team was not fun.
No.
BJ Callahan comes in and they play fun soccer again. And it just goes to show you that the coach does have some influence over how the team looks on the field. And I think a BJ Callahan coach team with those guys up top is going to be really entertaining.
Yeah, that's a fun team. Like just you've got Espinosa and Surridge and Hani Mukhtar, and there's going to be goals.
There's going to be goals upon
And
goals upon goals. Now, they don't have many defenders anymore, but,
no,
you know,
all you got to do is score one more than the other team.
that is fine.
I have long thought that just since there's no relegation in MLS, that coaches in this league should just embrace that shit, man, and they should not. You shouldn't
Vanni Sartini did, and then he got fired.
Well, that's what coaches get fired regardless. You might as well go out playing like fun attacking soccer,
And Vancouver still does play fun attacking soccer.
Sure,
They're just a better defensive team than they were before.
Yeah.
I think there's balance to that equation, but yeah, I'm with you.
They might not be a better defensive team for much longer. They lose Tristan Blackman.
Oh, yeah, let's talk about Tristan Blackman. Did not show up to camp. We just learned about this right before starting recording. There was the report that Miami was trying to sign him, and then Axel Schuster made a public statement saying "fuck you, we are not letting go of our players," which I thought was another wild thing. The best part of the cash furs, the cash furs being approved last year, is we're gonna get a lot of this shit, man.
Yeah, it's great.
Teams with money and cap space are going to start trying to snipe other teams as good players.
This is how you actually make rivalries, not by just having two teams play each other 3 or 4 times and be like, oh, it's a rivalry now.
I mean, Vancouver and Miami did that last year, so I think that's part of this, right?
Sure it is.
And Vancouver beat them early in the season, and then Miami beats them in the MLS
But this is the
Cup
kind of shit that runs deep, right? This is the kind of shit that, that if Blackman leaves, every time Miami plays Vancouver for a decade, they're going to get
There's
booed.
going to be, exactly.
Yes, that's great. We need that.
It happened with, and it's not quite as big anymore, but it happened with Fiorentina and Juventus for a while because Juventus just kept sniping all of their good players. Like Bernardeschi came from Fiorentina, and then they got Vlahovic, and there's a number of other players that Juventus sniped that were long term. Not Chiellini. What was the other center back? They had the pair at Juve. Chiellini and... God
damn it, Drew.
Damn it. I knew I was going to... Well, maybe Chiellini was from Florence. I have to look.
All I can think of is contemporary players. I can't remember back to who Chiellini was paired with.
Bonucci? No.
Bonucci is not a defender, is he?
No, he's not. Who am I thinking of? Anyway. I knew this was... I'll come to it later. But anyway, there was a historical thing with players from Florence being built up by Fiorentina's academy, playing well for Fiorentina, and then getting... And then the Dortmund had this issue with Bayern Munich for a long time.
Absolutely.
There's been these, the big club buys the small club's players all the time. And there's a little bit of that with Miami and Vancouver.
Yeah. Yeah, there is.
And Miami's already done it with Dane Sinclair in Minnesota, and now they're trying to do it with Tristan Blackman, and of course... Everybody is... Yeah, Leonardo Bonucci. I was right.
Hey, okay. Look at you.
God damn it. You looked at me like I had 3 heads, so it's like Bonucci. Anyway, this is already creating so much intrigue in the league and discussion points, and Miami was already sort of disliked by a lot of MLS fans, and then they win the cup and then go through the offseason, jettison a bunch of old guys, jettison some of their dead weight. They could still buy out Oscar Ustari if they want. They have to create more room. They could sell Ben Hakramaski and gain some more GAM to create even more flexibility. They've already got Rodrigo De Paul. They could go 2-4. They could go 2 DPs, 4 U22s if they want. Toto Aviles they could move on from if they bring in Blackman and create more space on their U22 side. So they are in a situation where they have created via player sales, player acquisitions, and then player sales a ton of flexibility under the cap.
Yep.
They still have Lionel Messi, and they're getting better and younger.
Yeah. Yeah, they're going to be scary good. Especially if they get Blackman in there like that. Blackman and then that Brazilian center back. Mikhail.
Mikhail,
that is
Yeah.
Like that's one of the best. That's probably one of the best center back pairings in the league. And that was the weakness of that team last year was their center backs, and so it's it's serious, man.
Right back too. Well, though I mean, when Wygon had to play right back, that was a weakness. When they
that'll be better.
Was it Noah Gray that would play right back? Or was it Ian Frey? I always forget which one was which. But either way, it's Noah Gray, right?
I think so. Drew, you're just throwing names at me, man. I can't. I deal with names all day long. I got 150 fucking kids a day rolling through my classrooms.
Noah Gray
I can't.
plays tight end, doesn't he, in the NFL? I fucked that up.
See now I'm really out of my depth. I don't know jack about NFL, so I don't know.
I did fuck that one up. I knew I did, and I shouldn't have even said that. Noah Allen is what I'm thinking of. Noah Allen. Anyway, I can't remember if Ian Frey or Noah Allen plays right back, but one of them does. Anyway, they were, you're right, like they were bad last year and a few of those defensive positions, and they've solidified all those and gotten younger and created a bunch of flexibility to add players. I don't think they're going to get Tristan Blackmon. I'm going to be really clear about that. I don't think that's what's happening here. I think Tristan Blackmon's agent is like, he just won Defender of the Year.
Yeah.
He's never played more than 2,500 minutes in his career. We need to cash in fucking
absolutely.
now.
And that's what he should do. He's doing his job.
Yeah, and if he goes to Miami, he's not getting a big deal. He's going there on a cash for and just getting the rest of his contract. Miami might give him promises of giving him a big deal the following year, but given Blackmon's injury history, may or may not actually get that big deal the next year. So I think that's what's going on here with him. But still, man, did it get the MLS fan sphere in a freaking just fervor about it. Like, how is Miami doing all of this? And they are doing it legally. They are doing it all under the cap. They've been very, very active with player movement and acquiring GAM via transfers. And it's allowed, and they got GAM for playing the Club World Cup. There's a number of things that have gone their way to give them a bunch of flexibility. And they've got let's put it this way. They have the same amount of cap flexibility that Sporting does. Believe it or not. They can spend almost $15 million in cap spending if they go 2-4. Actually, may be able to do it if they go 3-3. They may even go almost to $15 million. So if they go 2-4, that's almost $17 million in cap spending they could do. So they've really been thoughtful about creating flexibility throughout the process, and it's, you should want your team to operate this way.
Hell yeah.
It's frustrating as hell when the best team in the league keeps getting better, but I think that post Chris Henderson, they've made some good decisions on the front office side about how to manage things. One of them is Megan Cameron, who used to work for Sporting Kansas City, that they sniped away, and she was the cap queen in Kansas City, and now she's that in Miami, and has been doing an unbelievable job for them there, and they do creative shit. And they work just on the edges of the cap rules. And as Andrew Wiebe said, we should all want our clubs to be this aggressive about it.
Yep, absolutely.
You can be mad at them, or you can be mad at your own team for not doing the same thing.
You can do both.
Yeah. I mean, like you said, the villains are what make this interesting, right? And,
absolutely.
And I think, like you said, between Miami, the cash for thing, and just like this whole sniping of players from teams and whatnot, it's just going to make this offseason so much more fun, man.
Absolutely.
So much more fun. I mean, in the Premier League, like, you'd never see Tottenham sell a player to Arsenal.
No.
Or vice versa.
Yep.
Right? We don't quite have that yet, but we could get there.
Yeah, it's getting up there, isn't it?
It's getting close.
Yeah.
It's getting close. Tristan Blackmon's about as close as we've gotten to one of these yet, right?
Yep.
And I love it. Well, like, LAFC is not going to sell a player to the Galaxy. Like, right. I don't think that's happening, right?
Sporting's not going to sell a player to St. Louis.
We might sign one of their players on trial,
though.
Players on trial.
No, I think you misunderstand that it can come this way, but it's not gonna go the other way.
Exactly. I mean, they have a center back that played for them last year that may or may not be available. So
the important thing is they're not going to sign Josh Sargent. He will not be playing in the Pyrite.
The Pyrite kit. The Pyrite kit. This is the most wonderful revelation on earth. Thank you, Chad Reynolds.
It's so perfect.
For those of you that don't know what we're talking about, again, this is a topic that was discussed on the Discord, so we got to provide some context to this. First, all of St. Louis City's home kits are donned in a color that Adidas notes as Power Pink. It's just, when Chad told me about this, I was like, of course it is. We got the Powerpuff Girls. It's amazing. It's perfect. Power Pink.
They don't call it that.
They call it City Red. It is not. It is not red. It is Power Pink. Well, we got a leak of the latest St. Louis City kit. It is going to be an away kit that was supposed to be Energy Yellow, I believe, was supposed to be the name behind it. They have a bunch of dumb fucking names for everything, man. I don't even want to talk about it. But it looks like a combination of like a Ferrero Rocher wrapper or the bowel movement my dog makes after eating Purina. I don't know. It's like a combination of those two. Anyway, it's this sort of like weird gold, mustardy yellow kind of thing that they've got going on. Go to the Discord if you want to see the picture of it. Chad had to go check with Adidas to see. He still knows some people over there what the name of this color was, and it is Pyrite. That is the name of this color they're using. It's Pyrite, which everyone should know is fool's gold.
It's just delicious.
It just tells you everything you need to know. It just tells you everything you need to know about the players wearing it.
Yep.
I got nothing else. Josh Sargent, as you noted, will not be wearing the Fool's Gold kit. He apparently is going to be going to Toronto, if anywhere. Mainly because St. Louis is not going to pay $18 million. They're not going to match the offer that Toronto made.
And neither is Toronto. Toronto's going to have to pony up more than $18 million. So
probably, but I don't know how much more. Norwich is in a bad way about this. I mean, Norwich might get relegated. And if they get relegated, Josh Sargent's going to go for a hell of a lot less than $18 million.
That's true.
So, their leverage isn't as good as they think it is. And Josh is applying his own leverage by just saying, this transfer stuff is just it's really weighing on my mind. It's really difficult for me.
I've got transferitis. Can't come into work today.
Throat's real sore. Got some transferitis. I mean, I think we all know that this is eventually going to get probably going to happen, right?
Yep.
This is how this posturing goes. I mean, I promise the coach is mad about it, but the Norwich board sees those dollar bills that they're going to get out of this, and the impending concern of potential relegation, along with the fact that the guy that they just signed from Lincoln City in the summer is playing really well and scoring a lot recently. So Sargent is not irreplaceable on that team either. So
he's gonna ball out in MLS though. I mean, especially with Georgi Mihailovic giving him balls.
I mean,
that's going to be a good attack.
This is the old school Toronto team building philosophy. They kind of went back to when they had Altidore and Michael Bradley, and I think that it's a good way to go about this. I really do. I think Josh Sargent and Georgi Mihailovic is a fun pair to have on an MLS team, and I think that they're kind of going back to Toronto's going back to what worked for them in the mid 2010s, and then they've got an opportunity to be beyond that. Find a Sebastian Giovinco to add to it and become another juggernaut of a team. And I think they can do that. And I think we know MLSE is going to continue to invest in this club and try to make them good, right? So I think that, this is an interesting one. And I would like to see. I think the league's better when Toronto's good and spending money on players and bringing interesting and fun players in. The whole Italian experiment failed. Okay, whatever. But they didn't go, okay, well, I'm just going to hold my pennies for another 3 years before I decide to do something. They were like, nope, we're going to get right back to it and start bringing in players.
It's hilarious when teams that spend money are bad, but it's better when they're good, right? It's for all the schadenfreude that we have for teams like Atlanta spending a shit ton of money and then sucking. The league would be better if Atlanta was good. If for no other reason to have a clash between Atlanta and Inter Miami, right? Like
for sure, yeah. You want a local sort of rivalry to exist for Miami, and I don't think Orlando is going to provide that with any type of consistency. So I agree with you that Atlanta is much more likely to do that. I do think it's kind of funny that Arthur Blank, even with all of his riches, can't make a good NFL team or a good MLS team. Like it's just.
He made a beautiful stadium. That's enough, man.
It's awesome. I mean, it looks like Megatron's
so cool.
butthole, but it's very fascinating. It is actually it's a cool looking stadium. I just loved it. I just love that people call it Megatron's butthole. I mean,
I didn't realize that, but okay.
Now that you look at the overhead view,
I've been inside Megatron's butthole, and it's pretty nice, honestly.
It's a cool stadium. Yeah. I don't know if it's worse to be Megatron's butthole or a giant Roomba. Like, because that's what the Vegas stadium looks like. Like, it looks like a big ass Roomba. I don't know. Anyway, the last thing that I thought was sort of interesting and noteworthy is we've seen a lot of youth national team players with Mexican passports making moves to Liga MX.
Yeah,
Chivas has like 4 of them. And all of them were in the starting lineup the other day.
Do you know what they don't? You know what they don't have in Liga MX?
Their own academies worth of shit.
A salary cap.
Oh well, that's part of it.
I mean,
I don't think that's why they're signing those players. I really think that they don't have the youth players.
Yeah, I mean, it could be it.
I mean, what young Mexican players are you hearing about other than Gilberto Mora?
Nah, I don't have my ear to the Liga MX academy pipeline.
I do think it is noteworthy that MLS academies are starting to really produce real football players. Like we're starting to see enough, like they're producing enough of them that the teams from which these academies exist can't handle all of them or can't find a space for all of them. And so we're seeing Cruz Medina going to Chivas. We're seeing a variety of other players gaining a lot of interest from Liga MX teams. Because if you got a Mexican passport, I don't have to worry about my fans getting all upset that I signed an American to the team. Right. And it's just an interesting dynamic that I think, maybe it's just fleeting. Maybe it's just kind of what's happening right now. But it is something that I thought was kind of interesting. Any other MLS news going on that we forgot to touch on? I don't know. I put a few of these in here. I didn't put all of them.
No, you didn't. And I, of course, off the top of my head, can't think of any. I just think that just overall, I think it's been
Kellen Acosta. Bye.
Oh, that is true. That is wild. Because I think you and I were both kind of we talked ourselves into being we talked ourselves into being pro Kellen Acosta to Sporting Kansas City, but that is also because we knew that Sporting Kansas City were going to be terrible and needed midfield help. But that is that's been quite a fall from grace for that player.
I'm shocked by it. I have on a fairly good authority that Sporting had a verbal agreement with him and he backed out on it to go to Chicago.
Thank goodness.
I mean, I think it panned out for Sporting in that regard, but I don't think either one of us would have expected it to go this way. So that's wild. No,
well, and you never know. That's not to say that he wouldn't have found success in Kansas City, because you never know what being in a certain environment or around a different group of players might do. But it is surprising that he has fallen off the map so precipitously.
It is crazy. The one that I did forget to mention, your son's favorite player, Timo Werner.
Oh, that's true. He was already lighting me up on the text and saying
is he gonna get an Earthquakes jersey?
He's saying that Werner's ready he's gonna cook MLS defenses, especially Sporting Kansas City. So I was like, that's not wrong. That's not gonna be that hard, but okay.
Look, you're not wrong, but you haven't said anything really that
right.
that interesting or new or find a new thought, dude. I agree. I think he will cook MLS defenses, and I think nothing will help cure a case of the yips playing against MLS center backs and goalkeepers. I think that Timo Werner is a good player. even when he was at Spurs, the frustrating thing was not that he couldn't get into goal scoring areas.
Yeah. He was the Kevin Cabral of.
Yeah, he just seemed to like completely lose his fucking mind when he did, and I don't think that's going to be as big of a problem in MLS.
No,
windows are not going to close as quickly. He's going to be able to build that confidence back up.
Well, and Bruce is going to be able to find ways that he can have easy success, and I think that he's going to be a force. If he still has any juice left in the tank, he's going to be something else, and that will be Sporting Kansas City's first opponent when the regular season starts. So interesting.
It is an interesting one. They better bone up that defense because I mean, I do think. I mean, not having Espinoza does. I don't think. I know Espinoza was playing a lot of wing back last year for them, but I think it also sort of overlooks how much chance creation goes through Espinoza. Has historically gone through Espinoza. Yeah. He plays more like like a sort of half space 10 that he does as a winger or a wing back, and all like who's feeding Chicho and Timo Werner the ball. Yeah, because it's not Hernan Lopez, who was a terrible 10 anyway, and they've gotten rid of. So who's feeding them the ball?
Player to be named. Trialist number 1.
I mean, it's a legitimate question though. Is Bo LaRue going to be doing this? Like, who exactly are we expecting to be delivering these passes?
I mean, he's got an elite soccer name, so that's okay. Let's go with Bo.
Okay. Good luck, Bo LaRue. Let us know how it works out for you. Also, just to tie a bow on the Tristan Blackman conversation, it is not uncommon for players to report late to preseason, to do certain things to sort of influence a contract situation that they're on. Yeah. This is probably not that big of a deal. It really is probably not that big of a deal. It is just something that players do sometimes. Okay. We like bringing up the Miami thing and sort of discussing it because it provides intrigue. The Palace intrigue is always the biggest part of these conversations. 100%. Much like the first 2 hours, like 8 to 10 a.m. this morning when we were all talking about Rogers Motto and like, what the hell is going on here? Wait, we offered this guy, they accepted it.
I want to tell you how difficult it is for those of us who actually have to fucking work for a living. Because my kids, the students I'm teaching, like they hear my computer, they hear Discord like popping off on my computer because I didn't silence the Discord notifications, and they're like, especially all those little boys, all the fifth grade boys who are on Discord at night with their friends on their Roblox are like, wait, who's on Discord? Who's on Discord? And I'm like, oh, that's me. That was me. That was me.
The old teacher.
It's me. Sorry.
Discord open.
And then they look at me like I have 3 hits. They're like, what are you doing on Discord?
Not Roblox.
No, not Roblox. Not Roblox.
Yeah. Yeah, it was hot and heavy in the Discord for about 2 hours this morning. But the intrigue is the fun part. It really is. And
yep, absolutely.
You got a bunch of nerds sort of breaking down documents via like, oh, this thing has a date of 2026. I mean, it was really that kind of shit. And it is, I mean, it turned into nothing, but the intrigue is the fun part. Like trying to break it down.
And frankly, like Sporting Kansas City fans should enjoy it because you got to find joy in the small things in life, especially given the state of, first of all, the team and the club, and then the state of everything else. And so enjoy it, right? Like enjoy the intrigue, enjoy the rumor mill, and just know that things could be a lot worse, and they might be worse someday. So enjoy it.
And guys, it's preseason. Like, I know we want the team to be playing meaningful soccer games and doing it with a full roster that we're all excited about. I get it. It's preseason. They literally just finished the beep test. Like, that's the shit they're doing right now.
Yeah.
We all got to take a breath. The meaningful game's not to February 21st. In the meantime, I know we haven't had meaningful Sporting Kansas City soccer in a minute because they were so bad last year and there was no playoffs for Sporting. But
that has not stopped us from making 90-minute podcasts. So you're welcome.
About literally nothing. No, we talked about the current MLS quite a bit, but yeah, you're right. You're welcome. You're welcome. And we'll see. I think next week, should I tease it? But I think next week we'll probably have a fun one for y'all. Hopefully we can get everybody together. If we can, there will be special guests. And I think it will be something that everyone will enjoy and will take everyone's mind off of the current state of pretty much everything in the world right now. And there's a lot outside of Sporting Kansas City as well that is not that ideal. So we'll see if I can make all of that happen. We do have to work a number of people's schedules together in order to do it. But if we can, I think it'll be a fun one for everyone. And until then, I'm Drew. He's Cody. We will talk to y'all soon.
Let's sign some players.